Desung had been an ordinary middle school student. Then, out of nowhere, he tripped. Somehow, his soul separated from his body, plunging him into a bottomless void. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in hell. Horrified, Desung watched monstrous beings locked in brutal combat, the losers being devoured in grotesque displays of savagery. Paralyzed by fear, he hid, going 10 days without food or water. Was such a feat even possible? The timeless environment made the days blur together. Starvation finally forced him to eat the putrid remains of creatures, a repugnant act, yet the only way to survive. Gradually, Desung adapted. He turned pebbles into weapons and fought back against predators. Driven by grief and longing for his mother, he resolved to fight and survive, no matter the cost. Over time, what had once revolted him became a rare luxury. 7 years later, he discovered a strange game-like system tracking his progress. He had reached level 3, rising through the ranks. Years passed, and Desung's level skyrocketed. By his 24th year, he could easily slay creatures that once terrorized him. At level 51, he killed an elder dragon. By his 79th year, armed with a stone-forged sword, he stormed the demon lord's lair. He obliterated guards with ease, dismissing their threats with irritation. The hero stood tall, facing off against the formidable gatekeeper. This behemoth of a monster unleashed a flurry of attacks, but our fearless hero countered each blow with unrelenting force. The gatekeeper, a terrifying demon, let out a deafening roar as he charged at the hero. But with lightning-quick reflexes, the hero hurled his sword at the demon with unbridled fury. The blade pierced the demon's chest, striking true and finding its mark. The gatekeeper's eyes widened in shock, unable to comprehend his own defeat. And with that, the hero emerged victorious, having vanquished the formidable gatekeeper. The hero's fiery skeletal companion turned to him, its bony voice laced with concern. "What are you planning to do? Even the gatekeeper is defeated. The demon god won't let you leave unscathed. Are you certain you want to destroy the demon god and become the absolute ruler of this hell?" "Hero, I'm not interested in that. It's been 80 years since I arrived in this desolate place. I've fought countless monsters to survive. Each one had its own story, its own reason for being here. And that's what drives me. I have a question to ask the demon god. Why am I in this hell? Why did the king condemn me to this fate? That's what I'll ask the demon god. Skeletal companion, are you stupid? Why not just ask him politely, 'Don't do this. Turn back now.' Beg for forgiveness." "Hero, no. A price must be paid for bringing me to this hell, for making me suffer." With that, the hero charged forward, ready to face the demon god's wrath. However, just as Desung confronted the demon lord, a surreal shift occurred. He awoke in a hospital bed, confused and disoriented. He observed children playing outside and realized his body felt frail. His mother entered, her trembling hands and tearful face overwhelming him. She embraced him, overjoyed that her son had awakened after 30 long years. But Desung felt no relief, only disdain. Was this a dream? Had those 80 years in hell been a hallucination? The hero's mind wandered back to the epic battle against the demon god. Fiery Skeletal says, "Bastard, I never thought you'd actually defeat the demon god." The hero smiled. A mix of relief and satisfaction etched on his face. Fiery Skeletal companion, now that you've killed the demon god, you're the undisputed ruler of this hell. What will you do? A system prompt appeared before him, offering a choice. Would you like to return to Earth? Hero, in a firm, determined voice. "Every day, I prayed to be free from this damned place. There's no reason to stay in this crazy world. If only I could escape." With a sense of longing, the hero pressed yes. A brilliant light surrounded him, signaling his departure from the underworld. Doctors examined him, declaring he would recover with rehabilitation. Yet Desung grew agitated. This frail reality felt like a betrayal of everything he'd endured. A life reclaimed, a life despised. As Desung's frustration boiled over, he lashed out at those around him. Staff restrained him as he glimpsed a massive wormhole opening in the sky. It wasn't just a figment of his imagination. A news broadcast confirmed the appearance of a gate, with monsters spilling into the human world. News anchor. Breaking news. We have reports of a mysterious gate appearing in the city, unleashing a horde of terrifying creatures. Fortunately, our brave hunting team, tasked with protecting this neighborhood, sprang into action. eliminating the threats and restoring order. News anchor. Our cameras are live on the scene, where the hunting team is working tirelessly to neutralize the monsters. Let's go live to the team leader, who's giving us an update on the situation. Team leader, boss, this is Alpha 1. We got the situation under control. The current suppression is complete, and we're in the final stages of cleanup. I estimate we'll be able to withdraw within the hour. Man in Black, good work, Alpha 1. Once you've wrapped up the situation, report back to me immediately. I'll take care of the rest. Make sure to contain the area and keep it quiet. We don't want any unwanted attention. Team leader, understood, sir. We'll keep it discreet and secure the perimeter. News anchor. And that's the latest from the scene. Our hunting team has saved the day once again, protecting our citizens from the unknown dangers that lurk beyond the gate. We'll continue to bring you updates as more information becomes available. His childhood friend, Chan-ho, visited, explaining that Desung had been in a coma for only 10 years, not 30. The discrepancy left Desung baffled, but it was the revelation of his mother's sacrifices that stung the most. She had worked tirelessly to cover his hospital bills. Yet, Desung felt no gratitude. Instead, he burned with resentment for his frail body and his helplessness. An unexpected quest. Trouble soon followed. Loan sharks harassed his mother, demanding repayment. When they struck her, Desung's rage erupted. Powerless to fight back physically, he hurled insults at them. Tears streamed down her face as she begged her tormentors to stop humiliating her in front of her son. Her voice trembled with desperation, but the thug ignored her pleas, rolling up his sleeves to continue the beating. Witnessing his mother's suffering ignited a fierce rage within Dong. He hurled insults at the thugs, calling them bugs. When one of them grabbed him, his mother begged him to apologize, reminding the thugs that he was just a child. Dong refused to back down, his face set in a hardened expression. The thug sneered, shoving him to the ground with a brutal force. As the gangster delivered a merciless beating, Dong struggled to contain his anger and yearned for his former strength. Just then, a sudden arrival, a quest notification, popped up in his status window. Without hesitation, Dong accepted the quest, recognizing he had little choice. The status window had been his lifeline, allowing him to endure his time in hell. As he acknowledged the quest, time seemed to stand still. The quest conditions unfolded in the status window. Reach a specified point within an hour, and receive an elixir of recovery. Driven by determination, Dong wondered if regaining his former strength was possible. He spotted a red marker just 10 meters away and attempted to stand, but his injuries forced him to crawl. The thought of complaining about something so trivial disgusted him. After all, he was the one who had conquered hell. As he crawled, the centimeters felt like kilometers. Dong doubted his ability to reach the location in time, but he knew the system never assigned impossible tasks. He recalled the quest's terms and realized the only requirement was to reach the destination, regardless of how he managed to do so. Dong's frustration grew as he realized the obvious solution had been in front of him all along. With frail hands, he reached for his wheelchair and slowly settled into it. Despite having only 35 seconds left, he refused to give up, gripping the wheelchair and propelling himself forward. Against all odds, Dong reached the location in the final second, completing the quest. He seized the reward and consumed it, feeling a wave of relief wash over him as his pain faded. Though only a small fraction, he began to regain a slight bit of his former physical strength. With the quest completed, the time stop effect dissipated, and the thugs glanced around in confusion, searching for Dong, who had seemingly vanished into thin air. Before they could begin their search, the police arrived, having witnessed the entire incident. Later that night, Dong, now in a hospital bed, repeatedly attempted to summon the status window, but all efforts proved futile. Desperate, he tried different commands, but eventually abandoned the attempt. His mind fixated on the need for new quests, hoping they would help him regain his strength. Suddenly, a strange noise broke the silence, and he found himself floating in a place known as the Pantheon. Initially dismissing it as a nonsensical dream, Dong quickly realized this was no illusion. He had been summoned to fulfill a task. Without hesitation, he requested another quest. A punching bag, or rather a punching monster, materialized before him. He completed the task, earning a memory chip as a reward. Quest after quest continued to roll in, each completed task earning him another reward. For 10 days straight, Dong pushed through, completing quest after quest, but only managing to accomplish 55% of the overall implementation. Frustration built as he tired of these low-level tasks. Finally, he demanded a proper challenge. In response, the system granted him a new quest to kill a crying demon. A bolt of thunder struck, and the demon materialized. Dong, the so-called Demon King, recalled how close he came to death when facing this opponent in the past. He felt a rush of excitement at the chance for a rematch. The thunder-covered monster let out a deafening growl and launched into the duel with a ferocious claw attack. Dong barely dodged in time, aware that a single strike would reduce him to smithereens. He leaped forward, aiming to strike, but the monster effortlessly swatted him away, sending him crashing to the ground. Blood spilled from his mouth as he struggled to stand, the humiliation of being tossed around by a crying demon gnawing at his pride. The battle raged on, with Dong, a formidable demon lord, reduced to a frustrating game of dodging. However, his luck eventually ran out, and the demon caught him, gripping him tightly in its claws. In that desperate moment, Dong recalled his past victory over the monster. He summoned a sword without hesitation and sliced through the demon's left claw in a swift, decisive motion. Without mercy, Dong swiftly sent the demon back to its origin, as if it were nothing more than an insect. With the quest completed, he found himself back in the hospital room. Morning had already arrived, and the sound of the window opening stirred his mother awake. Dazed, she asked who was standing beside her, only to be shocked when she saw Dong in front of her. His physique now resembled that of a bodybuilder, leaving the hospital staff responsible for his rehabilitation speechless. According to their expectations, his recovery should have taken at least 6 months. It was beyond comprehension for them how Dong achieved such remarkable progress in just 15 days. His mother, still worried about her son, expressed her concern, but the doctor gently reassured her. Meanwhile, Dong felt the effects of his quest, noticing a significant improvement as some of his strength returned. He stretched, glancing around the room until he spotted his mother speaking to a nurse. Tears filled her eyes as she thanked the nurse, who offered her comfort and acknowledged her struggle. Seeing this, Dong realized just how difficult the past 10 years must have been for his mother. His heart tightened with emotion, and as he clenched his fists, he silently vowed to protect her now that he had finally returned. Dong headed to the washroom and shouted Pantheon. Instantly, his soul was drawn into the Pantheon. Upon arrival, he asked whether the system could accelerate the implementation process. The system responded affirmatively, allowing him to select the difficulty level for the random quests. Recalling his status as the Demon Lord, he boldly set the difficulty level to Hell, the highest and most challenging tier available. In response, a dark orb materialized before him. As it shattered, the sight that emerged left him wide-eyed in astonishment. Before him stood none other than the absolute ruler of Hell, an exact mirror image of Dong, but in his full strength. Dong summoned his sword, excitement coursing through him at the prospect of battle. Without wasting a moment, his replica lunged forward, launching a fierce overhead attack. The weakened Dong barely managed to block the blow, feeling the strain. The replica maintained the offensive, striking from every angle, searching for a weakness in Dong's defenses. Overwhelmed by the sheer power of his doppelganger, Dong realized that the longer this fight dragged on, the more it worked against him. Suddenly, the replica found an opening and thrust his hand toward Dong, sending him flying across the arena. Breathing heavily, Dong muttered that the replica felt more like the genuine article. Yet, with a smirk forming on his lips, he seemed to have a trick up his sleeve, ready to turn the tide. He activated his skill, blood neutralization, rendering himself immune to his double's attacks. Even when slashed by the sword, he felt nothing and swiftly shifted the momentum of the battle, slamming the replica's face into the ground. However, this advantage was short-lived. To his astonishment, the replica was not so easily bested, possessing the same skill. The battle resumed with renewed intensity, and soon Dong found himself stabbed by the sword. Dong's pain served as a stark reminder of the stakes. Meanwhile, a cleaning lady approached the washroom, ready to open the door. However, she was abruptly summoned to the 3rd floor on an urgent basis. In the Pantheon, Dong felt cornered, the weight of potential defeat pressing down on him. Desperation fueled his thoughts as he searched for a way to turn the tide, even if it required a stroke of luck. He accessed his inventory and pulled out a nutritional tonic, one of the awards he received for completing quests. The potion had the remarkable ability to restore 20% of his stamina. With renewed hope, Dong decided to take the risk and chugged down one bottle, feeling the rejuvenating effects surge through his body. His fake double interrupted him, but Dong didn't hesitate, fearlessly launching his fist and sending his double flying. Confidence restored, Dong pulled out 2 more tonics and chugged both bottles. His double retaliated with a vicious roundhouse kick, but Dong skillfully evaded the attack and downed a 3rd tonic. The battle raged on, with the 2 exchanging blows at incredible speed. Dong managed to finish a 4th tonic, but despite recovering significantly, he still couldn't defeat his doppelganger. Trapped in a chokehold, Dong executed a daring plan, piercing his double's shredded abs with the original blade. The double was baffled as its own weapon disappeared into Dong's inventory. With a cheeky smile, Dong laughed at his previously overconfident doppelganger, watching it collapse to its knees. He savored the last-second victory his gamble secured. Upon completing the Hell difficulty quest, a blazing blue window proclaimed that the user had achieved a 100% implementation rate, and his body was now restored to its peak. As a bonus, he gained the ability to use the Hell system on Earth. Dong's hospital clothes were torn apart, revealing his battle-scarred body. The sight triggered a flood of memories, reminding him of the suffering that brought him to this point. A panel appeared, asking if he wanted to read unread messages. Upon selecting yes, the messages congratulated him on becoming a monarch. It was explained that after the monarch left, the heavenly beings took control of Hell, leaving the demons trapped. Realizing the implications, Dong scoffed at the very Hell that stole 80 years of his life, now asking for his help. With a cheeky grin, the monarch of Hell defiantly flipped off his subject, cursing at them in vengeful satisfaction. He ordered the system to exit him from the pantheon, leaving the hordes of monsters in Hell stunned as they realized their fate was sealed. Back in the hospital, Dong was casually performing insane one-handed vertical push-ups while his mother and the doctor watched in silent awe. Using his exceptional deduction skills, the doctor concluded that Dong had seemingly awakened. However, his mother still struggled to believe her son's unbelievable transformation. Despite the doctor's reassurance, she somberly expressed her desire to understand how this could have happened. Eventually, the doctor suggested she visit the Awakener Association, which Dong overheard. The scene shifted to Dong and his mother in a taxi, where he reflected on her conversation with the doctor. He wondered what his mom might be hiding from him, adding to his confusion. As they returned home, his mom mentioned she'd be back soon and left. Dong was left to ponder the mysterious events unfolding around him. Dong entered the house, surprised to find a girl with cotton candy hair taking money out of a drawer. He racked his brain, trying to recall who this mysterious girl could be. Just then, his mother rushed in, breaking the awkward silence. She revealed the girl was Han Jisoo, his sister. Dong's realization dawned on him that the girl he couldn't recognize was his own sibling. Noticing her bratty daughter taking money again, their mom was visibly annoyed. Jisoo ignored her and got ready to leave. Meanwhile, Dong was still reeling from the shock of not recognizing his sister. As she brushed past him, Jisoo bitterly reminded him of how the last 10 years had been hell for their mother and her. Dong looked down somberly, regretful that he couldn't do anything to help. As she headed out, their mom asked her to at least say where she was going. Then, a loud voice caught everyone's attention once again. The debt collectors had returned. They threatened to break in if the door wasn't opened on the count of 3. Everyone went silent, but Dong was furious, ready to dish out some revenge. Growing tired of waiting outside, the man in the silver suit kicked their door. Dong's mom pleaded with Jisoo to come back inside, but she remained fearless. The silver suit turned to the thug accompanying him, wondering if they should just break down the door. To their surprise, Jisoo stepped out and complained that they were being too damn annoying. Momentarily speechless, the silver suit concluded she must be the daughter. Seizing the opportunity, he angrily rushed into the house while his ugly, lecherous partner leered at Jisoo. Their mother, trembling profusely, apologized as she took cash out of her purse. But a moment later, the money was in the air as the silver suit, furious at the meager sum, viciously slapped her, knocking the frail woman to the ground. Witnessing his mother being mistreated, Dong seethed with rage, launching the silver suit flying with a single satisfying punch. The fat and ugly thug asked what was happening while the once arrogant man in the silver suit cried to his daddy about being bullied. The thug could only stare in shock as Dong thanked them both for conveniently coming straight to him. After a brief taunt, the thug was seized by the jaw as Dong prepared to deliver a much-deserved beatdown on behalf of his mother. He smacked the thug in the face not 5, not 10, but 100 times before the brute collapsed to the ground in pain, beaten and bloodied. The thug spotted a wooden chair in a desperate move. He grabbed it by the leg and tried to smash Dong. But like a total badass, Dong punched right through the chair, sending the thug flying into the wall and landing next to his partner. Panicking, the man in the silver suit pulled out a dagger and mocked Dong. Unfazed, Dong calmly grabbed the guy by the wrist and twisted it savagely, like Plato in vengeance for striking his mother. The man cried out in agony, clutching his now useless, floppy hand. The ugly fat thug warned Dong he wouldn't get away unscathed. Instead, more savage than the two rascals combined, Dong presented a simple solution: leave no witnesses. Just as he was about to finish off the thug, he froze at the sound of his mother's scream. She begged her son to stop, and the two debt collectors, now in tears, scrambled out of the house. They stumbled back to their car, discussing in disbelief how a hospitalized kid could get so strong after spending 10 years in a coma. Worried about the consequences of failing their job, the silver suit anxiously asked his partner what they should do. Nursing his wounds, the ugly big guy tried to change the subject, but the silver suit quickly interrupted, having just spotted Dong's sister back at home. Dong's mom explained that after he collapsed, she had to sell the house and the store. She went on to say that once those savings ran out, she took loans from 3 different institutions. Unlike the original amount borrowed, the interest compounded into an unpayable, sky-high debt. Dong learned that his sister, Jisoo, had to drop out of school and work at a restaurant to help pay off the debt. His mother revealed how Jisoo worked tirelessly day and night to support him, bringing tears to Dong's eyes. Gritting his teeth, Dong lamented that Jisoo shouldn't have had to leave school. His mom explained that despite Jisoo's efforts, she wasn't earning enough and had been going somewhere unknown for the past few months. Heartbroken at his family's suffering, Dong wished they had left him to die. However, his mother gently reassured him. The somber silence was interrupted by a phone call. Seeing it was the debt collector, Dong told his mom to hand it over. Frustrated, he mocked them, but his pupils widened in shock as he heard the bad news. The scene shifted to Jisoo, bound and duct-taped. The ugly thug shoved her head as he was on a call with Dong, threatening him to collect 100 million in 24 hours if he wanted his sister to be okay. Furious, Dong gripped the phone tightly. When his mom asked what was wrong, he simply told her he'd be back after a while. His mother warned him against hurting or killing anyone, insisting his life would be over if he did. However, Dong knew that killing them wouldn't solve anything, unlike in hell. To his surprise, just as he mentioned the word hell, a fiery panel appeared. Reassuring his mom that he wouldn't commit any crimes, Dong accepted the offer to obtain a basic skill. Presented with 4 options, Dong contemplated which choice would be best, but ultimately concluded that none of them were noteworthy. Meanwhile, the gangsters continued moving Jisoo as they rode up in an elevator. The ugly thug reminded her of her role as a hostage. Suddenly, sparks flew, and the lights went out, bringing the elevator to a halt. Noticing sparks near his feet, the fat guy was taken aback as Dong magically flashed into existence. He sarcastically commented that he had come to deliver the money. It turned out Dong had picked the Shadow Wraith skill, allowing him to summon a wraith that took on his form once it had the target's blood. Now that it had located its target, the wraith bashed the silver suit's head into the metallic wall. The ugly guy panicked, realizing Dong was a hidden awakener all along, shocking Jisoo in the process. The wraith's ignorance was evident as the elevator doors finally opened. The fat guy stumbled out, announcing to the gang members that an awakener had broken in. Before he could say more, a swift strike to his nape sent him crashing to the ground with a loud thud. Insulted on their own turf, the gangsters grabbed their weapons. The wraith menacingly welcomed them, and the first guy stepped up to attack. However, he quickly found himself teleported behind the wraith, receiving a kick that knocked him unconscious. Thus, Dong wreaked havoc on the mob. Now the last man standing, he approached Jisoo and checked if she was all right. He quickly removed her restraints and tape and urged her to go home. But she revealed her concern for her dear brother. With a cool aura, Dong assured her that he would come to see her after finishing his business. As the elevator door closed on her, the wraith prepared for another beatdown. Grunts of pain echoed throughout the halls, where only unconscious bodies were visible. It appeared that Dong climbed the stairs, clearing each floor one by one. As he neared another group of gangsters enjoying a smoke, he joked that everyone was so weak that the lack of challenge frustrated him. Irritated by the insult, like all the previous gangsters, they got absolutely demolished. One of them called their boss, a man covered in tattoos that spanned his gigantic muscles. He answered the phone, berating his subordinate and reminding him never to call when he was relaxing in the sauna. However, the panicked gangsters insisted that he come quickly. Being ordered to come infuriated the boss even more, but as he heard his underling getting knocked out, he realized something was wrong. Rising from his seat, he clenched his giant fist in frustration, crushing his phone. Back at the gang's headquarters, numerous bloody bodies lay on the ground. The Shadow Wraith approached another member, who begged not to suffer the same fate. However, a wall suddenly exploded open. Caught off guard, Dong turned to see a giant man grasp his face, immediately smashing his head into the ground. The boss expressed his rage about Dong's mess. Dong's Shadow Wraith powers allowed him to retreat safely. The boss was shocked to see Dong dusting himself off in front of him, causing all the chaos alone. The Shadow Wraith questioned whether the boss was also an awakener. The boss proudly grinned, promising to send Dong to hell. Hearing the all-too-familiar word, Dong narrowed his eyes at the muscular monster, whose clothes burst from his physical enhancement. Not caring about his size, Dong bashed the boss's face and taunted the giant weakling lying caved into a wall. The boss denied being defeated so easily and angrily got up to launch a counterattack. However, he was promptly humbled by a kick to his chiseled face. With a flurry of kicks, Dong gave the boss a beatdown, explaining what true hell was and how much misery it caused. Meanwhile, the giant man could only think of surviving and asked for a timeout, his soul shattered. The muscular gangster offered money and everything he had in exchange for his worthless life. Hearing about the money piqued Dong's interest. He questioned the boss about the gang's safety, and after pointing him toward the closet with the safe, the boss fled like a crying little girl. Finally reaching his white car in the parking lot, thinking he was safe, the boss rambled about how he would make sure to hunt Dong down. However, his nemesis crept up, whispering that he forgot to ask for the safe's password. Even as the boss went crazy from fear, the Shadow Wraith tormented him one last time, saying he could be reached anytime, anywhere. Later, money magically fell out of a portal in front of Dong, totaling over 500 million. Dong grinned like a greedy goblin at all the things and apartments he could buy with it. He walked into a mall and became captivated by a newly launched folding phone, which the shopkeeper mentioned was priced at 2.99 million. Dong's curiosity piqued, and he checked out another model, one that resembled the Smart Z Flip. The shopkeeper, hoping to ease the purchase, suggested an installment plan, but Dong, without hesitation, slapped 5 million on the counter and bought both models outright. The shopkeeper, with an air of suspicion, accepted the money, as though he had either swindled someone or charged more than the fair price. Dong arrived home, casually dropping off his shopping, when his mother called him to join her for a meal. He replied that he needed to head out before she could inquire where he was going, and he had already disappeared. In reality, he had been invited to dinner by his friend, Chan-ho, at a restaurant. Chan-ho was visibly taken aback by Dong's transformation, as his physique had significantly changed since their last encounter just a few days prior. The two began their meal by sharing a drink. Chan-ho initiated a conversation, asking Dong about his future plans, reminding him that they were no longer the carefree school kids they once were. Dong, however, steered the discussion in a different direction, inquiring how many apartments could be bought with 500 million. Chan-ho was momentarily surprised, questioning if Dong truly had that kind of money, but quickly shifted to discussing the current state of inflation. He explained that, unfortunately, such an amount would barely be sufficient for a lease on a modest apartment located on the outskirts of the city. This revelation unsettled Dong, and he anxiously asked how much it would take to buy a place in the city. Chan-ho informed him that it would cost at least 2 billion. He then urged Dong to relax, reminding him that the world had changed drastically since he fell into a coma. Shifting the conversation, Chan-ho got to the heart of the matter, asking if Dong was an awakener. Dong responded that to confirm such a thing, he first needed to understand what an awakener actually meant. As they exited the restaurant, Chan-ho explained it all. He began from the very start, recounting how shortly after Dong's coma, mysterious portals known as gates started appearing everywhere. At first, the portals were seen as a minor threat and were kept under control. However, things took a dark turn when monsters began escaping from the gates, flooding the earth in what became known as a gate fracture. These monsters wreaked havoc, sparing no one in their path. Humanity fought back, but soon discovered that their man-made weapons were utterly ineffective against such foul creatures. Dong, unable to contain his curiosity, interrupted, asking if not even guns or cannons could harm them. Chanho confirmed that it was safe to say normal weapons did nothing. He then continued explaining that over time, a new type of weapon was discovered, special weapons known as aura weapons. These new weapons, crafted from monster byproducts, proved effective against the creatures. Those capable of wielding them became known as the Awakened Ones, heroes who stood at the forefront when humanity faced near extinction. The saying, "necessity is the mother of invention," rang true as mankind adapted to survive. In an attempt to show off, Dong pulled out a cutting-edge foldable phone from his arsenal, trying to impress Chanho. However, his confidence shattered when he learned that such phones were now being given away for free. Realizing he had been scammed, Dong quietly kept the matter to himself, choosing not to reveal to his friend just how much he actually paid for it. Chanho shifted the conversation back to the topic of awakeners, telling Dong that even if he didn't use an aura weapon, he could still harness the aura to strengthen his body. Dong's friend asked, "Your body has improved significantly. I heard you took down a notorious thug who recently returned to town." Dong responded sarcastically, "If I weren't awake, would you have given me money to deal with thugs?" His friend, taken aback, asked, "What are you trying to say?" Before Dong could respond, a gate suddenly appeared before them, and monsters began pouring out. People panicked as a green monster with red eyes emerged, followed by a horde of other creatures. The monsters began attacking nearby civilians. Dong thought to himself, "What are these ugly creatures? They're different from the ones in hell." He picked up a stone from the road and asked his friend, "Should I try it out?" His friend was shocked, but before he could respond, Dong threw the stone with incredible force at the monster. However, it didn't inflict any damage. Dong was disappointed, but his friend reminded him, guns and cans don't work on these monsters. The creature began to approach them, and Dong readied himself for battle. Just as one of the monsters closed in on them, Chanho shut his eyes, convinced they were finished. However, the sound of splattering blood forced him to open them again, and he found the monster beheaded with Dong standing tall. Dong had proven through sheer force that barehanded attacks could take these creatures down. Chanho could hardly believe his eyes, but as he watched Dong effortlessly take down an entire group of monsters, he started to wonder if his friend had awakened to B-class. However, he quickly realized that now was not the time for such thoughts. He shifted his focus to the safety of the citizens around them. As panic gripped the crowd, he raised his voice, urging the terrified people to follow him and assuring them that he knew the way to safety through the sewer system. Just as the people began to react, they found themselves encircled by the monsters. A little girl, gripped by fear, started to cry, and just as she seemed about to be attacked, Chanho leaped into action, saving her life at the last moment. Seizing the opportunity, Dong stepped in to dispatch the monster with a smirk. He mocked Chanho for getting in his way and urged him to find a place to hide, reminding him that he was still exposed in the open. Taking charge, Chanho swiftly led the effort to help the public evacuate to safety. Meanwhile, a young vlogger seized the moment, starting a live stream of Dong as he fought the monsters single-handedly. The public watched, captivated by the live stream, cheering for Dong's bravery. Suddenly, the vlogger yelled out, telling Dong to look behind him. However, it was too late, and the demon lord got slammed against a car by one of the monsters. The impact reverberated through the chaos, and the vlogger, smirking and laughing, was only focused on his content and views, knowing that a hero getting slammed made for compelling footage that would surely attract attention. Meanwhile, the crowd managed to escape into the sewers. Chanho reunited the little girl with her mother, who embraced her tightly, tearfully apologizing for the separation. A man turned to Chanho and asked if he planned to go back, leaving him torn. He grappled with the decision, aware that his friend was still out there fighting against the monsters. The scene shifted back to Dong, who found himself cornered by the monsters. One of them wore a smirk, poised to strike, and the vlogger kid covered his eyes, believing the hero was finished. To both the vloggers and the monster's astonishment, Dong dodged the attack with agility. He then addressed the monster, thanking it for inadvertently helping him restore a fraction of his mana. In return, he offered the creature a painless death, his voice calm and authoritative. The demon lord showed no mercy as he engaged with the monsters, dispatching them with precision. Meanwhile, the viewers of the live stream flooded the comments, complaining about the poor image quality and urging the vlogger to move in closer for a better view. Among the viewers, one named Slayer donated 5 million, promising another 5 million if the vlogger could capture a clear shot of Dong fighting the monsters. The excitement built as the stakes rose, both for the vlogger and the heroic demon lord. Hearing about the 5 million donation sent chills down the vlogger's spine. He felt excitement, but his cowardice kept him from getting anywhere near the action. Meanwhile, Dong continued beheading the monsters with powerful punches, quickly realizing that this relentless fighting consumed a significant amount of his mana. Another viewer commented, offering extra money for a clear picture and requesting the vlogger's email. Overwhelmed by the influx of sponsorship notifications, the vlogger experienced a mix of excitement and anxiety, torn between his desire for fame and the fear of what lay before him. The vlogger received another donation of 20 million from a viewer who demanded detailed information about the hero battling the monsters, promising even more money in return. The scene shifted to several viewers of the live stream who were engaged in a bidding war over Dong. These individuals, clearly hotshot clan leaders, found him both amusing and impressively strong. Their interest in Dong grew as they witnessed his prowess, contemplating how they might leverage his abilities for their own gains. On the other side, Dong had dispatched so many monsters that the remaining ones now trembled in fear of him. However, one creature, presumably their leader, killed one of its minions, showing no signs of fear. As it prepared to confront Dong, the vlogger's greed for money had grown to the point where he was now willing to take risks for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The blogger let out a terrified scream as Chinho's sudden voice startled him from behind. "What are you doing? Why haven't you evacuated?" Chinho exclaimed, shocked by the blogger's recklessness. The blogger's phone slipped from his grasp, and his viewers, believing him to be dead, flooded the comments with RIP messages. Meanwhile, the blogger, still inside the building, was overcome with tears, not from fear, but from the thought of missing out on the lucrative photo opportunity. As they approached the building, a goblin blocked their path, but just as it was about to strike, Dong intervened, smashing the goblin's head with a wooden club. "Nice shot," Dong said with a smirk. Once inside, Dong asked Chinho why he had returned. Chinho replied that he was worried about Dong. Dong mentioned that he had a 20-minute errand to run and asked Chinho to wait. Chinho reassured him that he could handle himself, as the clans would arrive soon. Dong's curiosity was piqued, but Chinho deferred their conversation until Dong's return. Dong then opened a portal to the pantheon, shocking Chinho with his newfound ability. As Dong entered the pantheon, he lamented his current physical state, likening it to that of weaklings. A system window appeared, addressing him as the absolute ruler and informing him that his mana implementation was less than 10%. Dong inquired about quickly increasing his mana and was instructed to organize the absolute ruler's journal. The system began organizing the journal, which contained Dong's daily recordings from his time in hell. The events were etched into the journal, and upon completion, Dong ordered the system to recreate a scene from page 16 in the Forest of Predators. The system began building the scene. A new quest appeared, Eliminate the Heavenly Beings, medium difficulty. The objective was to defeat the occupying forces in the Forest of Predators within 1 hour, with a reward of 2,000 points and a 30% increase in mana implementation upon defeating 10 white colossi. As Dong navigated the forest, a mechanical voice announced the detection of an unidentified intruder. A white colossus unleashed a heavy laser blast, which Dong dodged with swift reflexes. He sprinted towards the giant mechanical being and landed a powerful punch on its face, sending it crashing to the ground. As the colossus dissolved, a technical structure emerged from its fingers. Dong, annoyed by the relentless attacks, dodged the colossus's blows and struck a decisive blow to its stomach. With the quest progressing, Dong's eyes locked onto a red, floating orb. The scene shifted to Chinho. As Chinho and the vlogger kid arrived at the rooftop, they were met with a gory sight of slaughtered bodies scattered all around them. Mortified, Chinho noticed a gravely injured man still clinging to life. He and the vlogger kid rushed over to check on him. With trembling lips, the nearly dead man tried to warn Chinho about the threat behind him. Confused, Chinho turned and found himself face to face with a giant goblin monster wielding a massive wooden club. Concerned about the injured guy, the vlogger kid suggested they move him, but Chinho dismissed the idea, stating the man's time was long gone. He warned the kid not to make any wrong moves, so the cowardly boy turned to look at the threat he should be wary of, instantly scaring him. Seeing the frozen kid, Chinho told him to wake up if he wasn't intent on dying. With a deafening roar, the giant monster leaped into the air, ready to crush them. But for now, Let's revisit the pantheon, where the ruler of hell is analyzing the giant red ball. It appears that the divine machines can rebuild themselves, becoming stronger and more adapted against their opponents. Numerous panels appear to elaborate on the irritating feature in detail. Quickly catching on, our hero dashes and punches the core, but almost like jelly, his attack is easily repelled. At 3% restoration, he lands on top of the core, visibly irritated. With a powerful, rage-fueled punch, he manages to produce only a few sparks of red lightning. Despite the monarch of hell's relentless blows, the core's recovery continues smoothly. Undeterred, however, as the restoration nears 70%, error alarms begin to blare. Just as our guy prepares to deliver a final decisive blow, a laser beam whizzes past, barely missing him. He turns, realizing that he's been surrounded by other robots the entire time. The Colossi, in a well-coordinated assault, fires from all directions. Dodging the barrage with ninja-like agility, he becomes aware of the dire situation he's in. To make matters worse, the core silently advances to 98% completion. Regardless, the ruler of hell refuses to give up, pushing through the chaotic onslaught of lasers. He manages to reach the core and obliterate it at the very last second. Frustrated by the unfair matchup, our hero decides to dig through his memories for a solution. But before he can fully process his thoughts, a searing headache suddenly overwhelms him. By some stroke of luck and a touch of plot armor, the robots ignore his opening. Thus, with memories of his past experiences flooding back, he comes up with a plan to give these ugly machines the beating they deserve. Chanho and the vlogger kid make a desperate run for it, with a monstrous creature looming overhead. They split up strategically, leaving the oversized brute confused about which one to pursue. Their plan is to loop back and re-enter the building, where the oversized, uglier cousin of the Hulk can't follow. Despite the monster's massive arm reaching in an attempt to grab them, they manage to slip through, giving them a brief moment to catch their breath. When the creature eventually gives up, Chanho seizes the opportunity to make a break for it while he still can. On the other hand, our hero is busy leaping and darting between the divine machines in the other dimension, barely avoiding their relentless laser beams. His objective is to cause as much commotion as possible, drawing the attention of every nearby automaton. Once he's seemingly accomplished his goal, he runs far away from the swarm of heavenly beings, landing in an empty area of the forest. He finally stops, allowing the enemies to lock on and charge their laser attacks. But suddenly, one of the colossal robots falls to its knees, ignoring its ally. The others prepare for their attack, but our demon lord sits cozy and flips a bird to the brain-dead machines. One by one, the lined-up group of machines topples as the swamp whale reveals the reason behind the forest's name. A giant jaw emerges from the ground and devours the divine machines lined up one by one. Reliving his horrible memories, our boy casually watches from afar as the behemoth of a whale completes the challenge for him. With all 10 heavenly beings defeated, a congratulatory panel appears. In return, he receives his new rewards: enhanced physical abilities with boosted mana reserves and the Dagger of Judgment. As the weapon materializes before him, he inspects its special ability. The system elaborates that the dagger works like a remote-controlled airplane in a 100-meter radius. Now, that's a cool birthday present. After testing out his cool new weapon, the ruler of hell decides to return to Earth. The scene shifts to a news broadcast from when the gate first opened. The anchor solemnly reports on the tragic fracture that has claimed many lives. He consults a pale professor who looks like the uncle who brings politics to birthday parties for a solution. The man points fingers at the Awakeners Association, claiming they are to blame for the disaster. He remarks that they take too many vacations and just put off problems. When there's a shortage of hunters, he stresses that fractures do not care if the hunters are chilling in Hawaii or on duty, so they should be held liable. We then see a guy with a man bun watching the news on his phone, annoyed at the professor. Frustrated, he comments that the association hunters are paid peanuts compared to the clans. Hearing his partner's whining, the team leader next to him tells him to focus on making results right now, or they could lose their jobs. But their conversation is cut short when they hear breaking news of a certain Awakener having single-handedly dealt with the monsters back at the disaster site. Vlogger Boy and Chanho hide in a room, anxiously awaiting a rescue squad. Suddenly, a series of loud noises grab their attention, and the entire room begins to tremble. They cautiously attempt to peek outside, but before they can fully grasp the situation, the roof collapses, scaring the daylights out of them. Overwhelmed with fear, Chanho wonders if their time has come. But turns out it's just a starving Dong standing triumphantly on the extra-large Hulk's beheaded remains. Chanho is delighted to see his friend when he most needs him, despite his terrible condition. Our boy smiles coolly, noticing something off. His bestie asks if he's okay, groaning in pain. The ruler of hell commands the fast food kid to cook up some meat for him. The two stare at him speechless, going crazy about him, wanting to enjoy a grilled burger in a do-or-die situation. With no chicken in stock, our demon connoisseur analyzes if the monster meat is edible. He begins chowing down, making the other two nearly bend over and heave their empty guts out. Fortunately, a soldier shows up, making the vlogger boy euphoric that he will survive. While our hero silently enjoys his meal, the soldier ignores the boy, viciously expressing his gratitude to him, and states in awe, before I can realize it's monster guts. Chanho comes in and distracts the soldier, introducing his pal. Chanho pulls away our hungry hero and urges him to eat his fill later. Unexpectedly, the soldier changes his attitude and explains they can't simply leave. So Chanho proudly brings out his clan ID card. Seeing the man's clan swag, the soldier smiles, ready to escort them to safety. Elsewhere, the man bun guy is busy emptying his guts after seeing the mutilated monster remains. Annoyed, the team leader shouts at him to find survivors instead of curling up on the ground like an insect. Man bun dude immediately talks a soldier into entering the restricted area, since he's an association hunter. Meanwhile, the graceful team leader ponders over what kind of monstrous guy can tear up corpses like this. The scene shifts to the boys in Chanho's car. Our hero's best friend suggests that they sleep at his apartment, but being a family man, our boy stresses he needs to see his family. The best friend reminds him that his family would be terrified if he visited them in his current state. Taking a short look at himself, the ruler of hell decides to settle on a call with his mother. The two leave to enjoy some freshly fried chicken, after cleaning up, of course. They finally reach Chanho's apartment, and my guy is impressed by its extravagance. After he cleans up, the two sit at the table with multiple expensive dishes lined up. Curious, our protagonist recalls his friend telling him about the insane money hunters make. Chanho affirms, but he also adds that hunters are scammers, considering how much they're paid. When asked if he wants to become a hunter, my guy answers with a grunt while devouring a chicken wing. Slightly perturbed, Chanho informs his friend that he would be pretty high rank if he gets himself appraised. He adds that with his insane power, our protagonist would not be less than A rank. Confused by the terminology, Chanho explains to him that a better rank just means that he can join the big clans. Regardless, he points out that the monthly income is crazy high. Intrigued, Dong asks if there's a rank higher than A. Chanho reveals that there are only 5 S rankers out of the 200 million awakened worldwide. The S rankers grinning mischievously, Chanho jokes that his best friend shouldn't dream of becoming the 6th S rank, claiming that A rank is great enough. He probes again if our hero intends to become a hunter. Agreeing, Chanho promises to help with everything, and the two brothers toast to the occasion. The scene transitions to some mobsters eating in a fancy restaurant. A strange guy with long hair repeats his words to a bald gangster, who is terribly scared of him. The guy repeats himself, wondering if he is correct that a whole organization was taken down by the single-hooded boy. On his tablet, wiping his lips elegantly, Saku, the manager of the Honma clan, interrogates Baldy, demanding to know why he didn't flee and beg for mercy. Baldy trembles intensely, begging Saku not to execute him like the corpse nearby. Saku's chilling gaze makes Baldy sweat bullets. Despite his fear, Baldy tries to play dumb, but Saku sees right through him. With a calm demeanor, Saku explains that he's only interested in retrieving the stolen money and the gang's hidden stash. Baldy remains silent, paralyzed with fear. Saku unexpectedly releases him, claiming to trust his word. However, moments later, Baldy's bald head explodes in Saku's hand, covered in blood. Saku barely acknowledges the gruesome scene, instead focusing on his tablet, which displays a photo of Dong. He orders a woman lurking in the shadows to hunt down Dong. Meanwhile, Dong visits the Hunter Association, where Chanho advises him to take the awakening test. Dong dismisses the idea, but Chanho reminds him to speak formally to avoid looking like an outcast. As Dong waits for his turn, he checks his phone and responds to a message from his mother, reassuring her that he'll be home soon. A clerk informs him that it's his turn, and a delusional old man starts complaining that he's awakened, despite the employee's reassurances. The old man refuses to back down, claiming that his sudden hair loss is proof of his awakening. Dong silences him with an overwhelming aura. Old man keeps complaining about the Awakener's identification system to dispel doubts. The organization's employer demonstrated the effectiveness of the Awakener-level identification system by placing his hand on it. The orb's color changed to green, confirming his status as a Level C hunter. The crowd's perception of the old man shifted as they realized he had been deceiving them with his criticism, and they now viewed him with suspicion and dark eyes. Finally, it's Dong's turn. The clerk lady, gossiping with her colleague, suggests that Dong might be the top rank of the day, given his intimidating aura. As Dong approaches the manometer, chaos erupts at the Korean Hunter Association. The branch manager receives urgent calls, directing him to Examination Room 3, where he finds a crowd gathered around a shattered crystal meter orb. The staff explains that Dong's examination caused the meter to explode. The manager seeks an explanation, but the staff reveals that 3 different crystal meters met the same fate. The manager concedes that it's impossible for all of them to be faulty. Dong anxiously hopes he won't be asked to compensate for the shattered crystal balls. The manager informs him that they'll have to make a borderline judgment, using the license test results as the sole deciding factor. Dong questions the reliability of the license test, but a staff member assures him that the examination system is designed to provide accurate results. With nothing left to do but wait, Dong accepts the proposal and takes his leave. The branch manager finds the situation troubling, and a clerk suggests that the crystal ball might be incapable of measuring power beyond a certain threshold. The manager wonders if Dong could be a Tri-S rank, but a colleague dismisses the idea. The scene shifts to Dong stepping out of the Hunter Association building, still thinking about the events that transpired. His phone rings, and Chanho asks about his results. Dong explains that he's been given borderline status, and Chanho jokes about whether he's been causing chaos. Chanho quickly dismisses the idea, figuring it shouldn't have been possible. Dong's thoughts are still on the events that transpired at the Hunter Association. The scene shifts to the mysterious sender, a woman with short hair, who's watching Dong from afar. Meanwhile, Chanho, who asks about his results. Dong explains the situation, and Chanho finds it odd. Dong jokes that he might have to pay for the broken meters. Chanho advises Dong to get appraised, suggesting that he could be a high-ranking hunter. Dong is unsure, but Chanho assures him that he'll help with the process. As they discuss the details, Dong decides to trust the process and wait for the results. Dong assures Chanho that he carefully followed the instructions during the exam, but Chanho retorts that he had a gut feeling something strange would happen. Dong promises to share more details later, and they end the call. Moments later, Dong's sharp senses detect a sniper positioned far away, aiming straight at him. The sniper lady feels confident that she can finish Dong off with one bullet, despite his supposed strength. However, just before she pulls the trigger, she realizes that Dong has discovered her. She's shocked, as no hunter has ever spotted her before. Dong points to his head, his face reflecting anger, and urges her to take a look. The sniper experiences fear, but quickly gathers herself to pull the trigger. An explosion erupts, and she feels a surge of happiness, confident that she's succeeded in the murder. However, as the smoke clears, Dong stands unscathed, despite the sniper lady using an aura bullet. The bullet appears utterly ineffective. Feeling scared, she contemplates a retreat. But just as she turns to run, Dong sends his dagger, stabbing the assassin in the leg, causing her to trip over. As the sniper lady turns her face, her target stands directly in front of her, reminiscent of a scene from a horror movie. Dong bluffs, claiming that the bullet struck him on the head but couldn't kill him. In response, the sniper lady swiftly draws a gun, pointing it at him, and demands to know where he's come from. Dong speaks the truth, stating that he hails from hell. However, the lady is overwhelmed by fear and anxiety, firing multiple aura bullets at Dong, hoping to see him die. Suddenly, he reappears behind her, catching her off guard with his unexpected presence. She finds it incomprehensible, as she's certain her target collapsed, yet he stands there completely unscathed. Dong grabs the lady by her neck, throttling her, and slams her against the wall. He uses his power, enveloping the lady in a demonic, sluggish material that terrifies her, causing her to faint. Dong clarifies that he has no intention of killing her. He picks up the bullets and searches for the lady's belongings, seeking clues. Then, he places the bullets on her head, forcing her to regain her senses. Covered in sweat, the lady screams out, overwhelmed by the disgusting hands emerging from the creatures summoned by Dong. Dong adopts a gang leader persona, demanding that the lady answer all his questions peacefully if she wishes to live. Spotting family pictures in her luggage, he questions her about who sent her to kill him and his family. Feeling anxious, she realizes she cannot disclose anything about the Manhwa clan. However, she suddenly recalls a gangster who has gone missing and seizes the opportunity to use his name, telling Dong that it was Kim Song-yoon who sent her. She elaborates that Kim Song-yoon is the same person Dong had smashed a while back at the private loan organization. Arguing that he has robbed his safe, she pleads for her freedom. In response, Dong throws a bullet at the lady, piercing a hole in her shoulder. She comments that she has done as he asked and has told him everything. Dong maintains his gangster act, arguing that it's suspicious for an assassin to provide sensitive information so easily. Sensing a grain of salt in her words, the lady realizes she has made a mistake by being so hasty. Dong politely inquires once more about who ordered the murder. She thinks to herself that she has already failed the request, and even if she were to survive this encounter, the psychopath head of the Manhwa clan would certainly kill her. Considering her death inevitable, she shouts that she will never reveal this information, even if asked 1,000 times, and attempts to commit suicide. However, before she can do so, Dong fires a bullet, punching a massive hole through her body trunk. The assassin lady coughs up blood and collapses dead. Dong grows irritated, realizing he couldn't uncover who was behind all of this. He gazes at her lifeless body, contemplating ways to dispose of it. He recalls an item he possesses that could prove useful, but is reluctant to use it. Instead, he sifts through his journal memories, searching for any relevant recollections about the dead keyword. After scanning 134 pages, he opens a portal to the Pantheon, fully aware that this area should be off-limits due to nearby gate fractures. Nevertheless, he decides to cover the body, covering it with a blue cloth. He steps into the Pantheon, where he requests the system to recreate the 134th page of the journal, where the soul prison is recorded. As he sifts through his memories, he recalls that the soul prison was the primary weapon of one of the 15 rulers of the states in hell. As the 198th day of the 67th year is recreated, Dong considers using the soul prison to dispose of the bodies. He finds himself in front of the River of the Dead, recalling that the Ghost King's territory lies on the other side. A swarm of small, heavenly beings resembling insects attack him. Dong expertly dodges their toxic sludge balls and draws his weapon, slicing through one of the bugs. As the creature explodes, releasing poison bombs, Dong wards them off with a simple barrier. Horde of bugs attacked him, but one by one Dong destroy all the bugs and slice through them swiftly like it's a child's play. Finally, he destroyed the purple orb and defeated all the mechanical bugs. Upon completing the quest, he receives 50% of the implementation rate and is awarded the Vermin's Blessing armor. The armor makes its user immune to the energy of the dead, suggesting that he might be able to swim across the river without harm. Dong dons the armor and swims across the river. A notification appears, informing him that his swimming skills are admired by the demon beasts of the Pantheon. Upon reaching the Ghost King's territory, he discovers that the undead castle has vanished. Another notification pops up with the demon beasts apologizing for the disappearance of the castle. A long, architectural structure known as the Heavenly Obelisk appears before him. A system window opens, requesting him to kill 1,000 heavenly creatures within 2 hours to complete the second quest. As the monsters materialize, Dong recognizes them as commanding generals. He shouts at the monsters to kneel before their lord, but another notification pops up, informing him that the demon beasts are sorry for the betrayal of their companions. Dong activates blood neutralization, transforming himself into a half-human, half-demon hybrid. With his newfound strength, he dashes forward, taking down large groups of commanding generals. As he reaches the vicinity of the pillar, he considers destroying it from the inside. He runs toward the gate, enters the tower, and kills all who stand in his way. In mere seconds, he destroys the entire structure. With the tower's destruction, the suspicious, coreless demons disintegrate, vanishing into thin air. The second quest comes to an end, and the implementation rate of the soul prison is completed. Dong receives 2 orbs as a reward, 1 purple and 1 orange. He collects the purple orb and checks it, delighted to discover that it's the weapon he was seeking, the soul prison. The soul prison grants him 3 skills: imprisoning a dead target, resurrecting it, and peeking into its memory. However, he's disappointed to find that he can imprison only 20 souls at a time. Dong collects the other orb, which reveals itself to be a rune of expansion. He engraves the rune into his soul prison artifact, increasing its capacity from 20 to 100. Satisfied, Dong gathers the soul prison and decides to leave the pantheon. As he exits, the demon beasts send him another message, begging him to be cautious. A golden panel opens in front of him, but he dismisses it as a waste of time. Uninterested in whatever it may offer, he shakes off the demon beast's meaningless riddles and exits the pantheon. Upon returning to the location where he left the corpse of the sniper lady, he finds that she is nowhere to be found. Dong feels tired and decides to return home.